to the ring, it's Monday Night Fire. My rhymes burn hotter than a funeral pyre. I'm the heavyweight champ, you can call me sire. Reviewing raw like a southern rap messiah. Crossing over lines like I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin. Flipping opponents like I'm Randy Orton. Dirty South flow, my words they be costing. Every verse I drop got them head nodding. Spit lyrical punches like a ruthless fighter. Got the crowd hype, I'm the crowd igniter. Breaking down the raw matches, no denier. Dirty style rap, I'm the Monday night supplier.
What is up, everybody? It is I, the voice, Joshua Joseph, here on another Monday Night Raw preview review show. How goes it? How have you been since the last time we've seen you? Glad you've come back to the Raw preview show. And as you can see, it is I alone. It is I am him, and we are going to talk Raw. So I'm going to get into it because it is the 7 p.m. start time. So let's get into it and see what we're going to be talking about, because we got coming up. I don't know if you guys realize this, but in February, just kicking it off, we are going to have a Royal Rumble here in Indianapolis. So that will be coming up. We also got Elimination Chamber coming up in March. So that's going to be an exciting one. And so let's get into it. So Raw lately has been pretty freaking amazing. So I've been enjoying it. I've been really liking everything Trips has been putting together, especially with like the Braun Breaker storyline. And it's been a lot of fun because they've been really bringing back the just the amount of brutality somebody like Braun can bring to the table. So I'm excited for that. And plus with the teaming up with him going up against Ludwig, I really enjoy that one. Because those, like I said, those guys all together bring one of the best elements of Raw and what WWE is about. Give me 1 second, fans. The rest of the crew has shown up to the table. How goes it? There were some technical difficulties going on backstage.
There sure was. I'm not sure what happened, but it was all black screen. It was uncomfortable. I felt alone in the dark. Shout out to the video game. It was a pretty decent remake.
Well, okay. I like it. Well, at least you.
But yeah, we're here now.
Yeah, I mean, you found it. You found the light. You came to your GRUN. You obviously followed Kevin. You seen him in the tunnel. Everything was going great. Yeah. So I just started the show, guys. Go ahead and let everybody know what's been going on in your worlds while I check with our guest here.
Eagles, painful.
Eagles, Lions, not painful. Sup, Josh? How do Bears feeling?
They've given up.
I mean, can you blame them at this point? The NFC North is an absolute fucking powerhouse. It's ridiculous. But yeah, as far as anything else, it's just been a lot of holiday stuff. Just cooking all that holiday food, getting that good eating, going for those gains. Get in that gym, get a nice meal in you. Go to the gym, pump some iron, good to go.
I like it. And we got the boss chiming in. If you can't see, they're here, Howse. The squad made it. Again, they were trapped in the tunnel.
It was a dark tunnel.
It was a dark tunnel, but we're here. We've made it to the window lickers. We've made it to the window at the end of that tunnel. And speaking of that, all right, so here we go. We got our guest here, guys. And this is a fella that popped up in our chats a couple weeks ago. And for some reason, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna follow this guy. I'm gonna see what he's about, because he's got some interesting insights on what he was saying in our chat. So I've been following him for a little bit, and you know, me, the voice. I've weaseled my way into becoming a regular call-in on their show. I like to go over there, and they got me my own intro. It's all around Flash Gordon. I fucking love it. And so, just to, before we bring him in, I'd kind of, maybe like to pay back the honor, show them what we do over here on the window liquor side. So fans, here you go. Here we go. Let's get this started and introduce our guest.
Nick TEODORO in your face. Wrestling podcast crushing space. Happy hour, Nick sets the pace. Special guest, yeah, we embrace. Window liquors tuning loud. Talking smack in every bout. Nick TEODORO makes us proud. Raw and gritty, never bowed. In your house with Nick tonight. Nick TEODORO's dynamite. Wrestling legends by his side. Nick's the host we can't deny.
Well, fans, if you don't like ska, then, well, maybe that wasn't your intro, but we love ska, and we love this guy.
Ska, you can get out.
Exactly. And that's coming from the Chaos Goblin. Nick, thank you for joining us. How was your Monday? How are you doing?
Hey, cheers, guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I love it. It's funny. You said ska. I thought actually for a second, I thought more like punk rock for a second, but yeah, then now with the horns, and I think about it, yeah.
It's the horns. It's the horns.
Yeah. The horns.
I was like, it reminds me of Sami Zayn. I'm like, I guess I have to change my name to
made me think Sami Zayn with, damn it, I just had that band in mind. Punk rock band. All my friends are metalheads.
Less than Jake.
Less than Jake, yeah.
Less than Jake.
Like the only time I bought their album too, because Real Big Fish is another good one, a really good one.
Real Big Fish is a good one. So is Goldfinger.
Yes.
Love Goldfinger.
Yeah,
Goldfinger is a great one too. Yeah, I mean, even when you go back old school, No Doubt was pure punk rock ska.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have got them without Sublime. So always thank Sublime.
That's probably
kids.
all true too. Yeah, that makes sense.
Everywhere you go, thank them.
People always
2 summers in a row. This last 2 summers at PNC in Jersey, they were great. Obviously
You've seen the new Sublime.
Yeah, the new Sublime. Yeah, it was great.
Okay, so let me ask you: did you see with Jacob?
No, the original. No, never. Yeah, like I was too like me. I got into music a little bit like later, like when I was right around like the teen age. So like I didn't really get into music, like all that stuff, till way later. And I'm like, oh man, I like this band, and like all the derivatives of those bands, and who was with who, and like even like something like Dave Grohl. Like I completely, for the longest time, didn't know that he was the drummer for Nirvana for the longest time. Like I knew the Nirvana songs, but I was like, oh man. And years later, like, the singer for Foo Fighters is the drummer for Nirvana. I'm like, I don't see that many videos of Nirvana, and I'm like, oh yeah, shit, that's him.
Yeah. That I always love when people figure that out, and they're just like, oh, Dave before he had facial hair. Okay, yeah, I see it now. Yeah, I like it. So Nick, you're here. You do what we do, but you do it at a different pace, at a different date and time. Why don't you let the fans know real quick all about your show? I got a link up here I'm going to throw up in case anybody wants to go and check Nick out. But Nick, you got the floor.
Oh yeah, well, appreciate you guys having me on. So you do your show Monday right before Raw. Adversely, we do Fridays right before SmackDown. So kind of just leading up to everything the week in advance. We cover mostly WWE and AEW, but if anything happens with TNA, really it's a call-in themed show. So really anything, as you know, Josh, that kind of comes up. Some of our regulars just kind of throw us through a loop on some things that we're just not expecting.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic time over there. I mean, some of your regulars that call in, let me tell you, Kevin, they got one guy, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but it's Steven.
Yes.
So this dude has a voice that some of the greats would even be like, wow, that's a great voice. I thoroughly enjoy that. I'm talking Morgan Freeman would be up there being like, oh wow,
that's a
I like
tasty
the
voice.
deepness. But yet, yes, it is. Andy's hilarious. The dude is hilarious. But what Nick and Nikki do, they talk the subjects, and then they open it up to a call-in portion of the show. And this is the part where I'm trying to get IYH members, GRUN, this is your competition I brought on here.
Yeah.
Friday Night SmackDown over there in GRUN's room. So yeah, you call in at the end of the show, you get to say your piece. They ask you what you're drinking, and it's a really fun time. It's almost GRUN like when we started this, the vibe we were going for, because Nick,
all right,
he goes in there and he does his drops like we used to, until we noticed they were getting us hit with copyright strikes, so we quit using those a little bit. But Nick actually he edits the background out, he does the whole green screen thing, so kind of what like Lou does. And
okay.
yeah, Nick, let me just say, I've fallen in love with your show, man. The way you present things, it is pure. It's like a morning radio show, but with visuals, and you can check it out. And I absolutely like what you guys are doing over there.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate the kind words. And honestly, you're a huge part of the show now. And guys, we would love to have you, if it works for your schedule, come on. And I love your takes too. So, it's kind of a mixed thing. We live in New Jersey. So, I grew up in the mecca of sports talk radio. So, for me, I grew up listening to like Mike Francesa and Chris Russo, the Mad Dog. So like that was kind of the idea behind it. And my wife, we met through professional wrestling. We got engaged on the Chris Jericho cruise. So like one of the things that I can say this confidently and not have any qualms about it. She is as big, if not a bigger wrestling fan than I am, and can cite everything you could think of. And we go back and forth, and it's kind of a nice little verbal sparring between us. Oh, remember this guy in 1992? They had that stupid gimmick. I really love that stupid gimmick, and things like that. So we go back and forth about how we would book certain things, just like I'm sure you all debate. And it's just kind of a fun experience. So we're trying out some concepts with, again, the call-ins just to get different opinions. I think we're doing some different concepts for next year where we're going to try out. It could get crazy where I'm calling it the open bar concept, where we're just going to try for some select shows, probably our PLE shows reviews, doing something where we have a topic and it might just be the first topic of the day, like so-and-so returns, I don't even know. Charlotte returns, and just having a quick 30-second caller call in like 2 or 3 callers and just hammer out their points like that and just kind of go rattle back and forth. So we're trying out some different things. And I also wanted to, if it doesn't get too crazy, obviously we're in the season, WrestleMania season, some sort of like Royal Rumble caller kind of battle royale type deal. We'll just have a bunch of callers in and throw people in and out.
I like that.
That's what we, as you guys know, you're like, we all love professional wrestling, and that's what we do, is just to kind of get it out there, get our thoughts out there. We love it. And, we just want to hear about everyone else's different opinions. We can have different opinions. Doesn't mean they're right or wrong. It's just fun to hear and talk it out. So that's what's great about professional wrestling in general. You can write it however you see it.
Yeah,
that's true.
And
there's a lot of different avenues for it.
Exactly. And that's what we love having Kevin here, because he's the guy who's in the ring, so he can give us that insight. And then we got GRUN, who is just as angry and just as bitter as I am, but he's over in Pennsylvania. So, and then now we got you coming in as a special guest, so full circle wrestling brings us all, uniting us all.
Hell yeah.
And what brings us here is the topics we discuss. So, you know what, my co-host, I've kept us in the waters for a little bit, because it's the holiday season and things happen and I get sinus infections and I can't talk. So what have you two, we'll go with Grun. You've been a little quiet tonight, Grun. What have you been wanting to talk about? And then Nick, this is how we do it. There's going to be a discussion whenever you have a thought, after Grun gets the main point out. Jump in and let us know what you're thinking.
All right. So, you know what? We saw Kairi Sane get attacked last week after Zoe Stark had won her triple threat match for the first round of the women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. And we were all kind of in agreement that Raquel was going to win. And then Zoe came out of nowhere and won. I'll admit, I almost thought Kaden Carter was going to win. I almost thought, because she looked better than probably ever as a singles wrestler.
I would say that was her best performance as a singles.
Yeah,
so far that we've seen on a television screen for WWE.
So tonight, Kairi was supposed to be in the match. She is not going to be in the match anymore. Who fills the spot and who wins?
Oh, so that's where you're
going. I just had it. The other two are Alba Fire and Natalia. They are locked in for the spots.
So you're wanting to know who we think is taking over Kairi's spot?
Yes.
In this match? Okay. Kevin, why don't you, because you look like you got the wheels a turning.
I do, because I'm trying to think of who would slot in to specifically a mid-card title. So we're looking at someone who we probably want to boost up. My assumption is that Kairi either was taken out for booking reasons or because she had some kind of nagging injury. These things tend to happen.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at people who can slot in, generally speaking, smart booking is whoever the surprise is, you put them over. So we need someone who can go forward too.
Okay.
100%.
Charlotte, I think, is too big for that slot. I think she needs to go right to a world title because they're lacking in contenders right now. But someone from NXT could be an interesting call-up. It could be Roxanne. I'm going to go with Roxanne.
Ooh, you're throwing Perez out there, huh?
Put the NXT Women's Champion in there.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
It's very clear that they're very high on Roxanne Perez, and they want to keep going with her. If they want her to have a level of momentum, at least put her forward in the Intercontinental title tournament. You do not need them to. She doesn't need to win. She just needs to have a good showing.
Hey, I agree with you on that one. Nick, what you got any thoughts on this? This question that Grun has thrown out directly out of his room in a fit of anger.
It's interesting. You look at the tournament. So I agree that it has to be someone returning or debuting on Raw, because you're not going to have any of the, just looking at the bracket, who's no one eliminated makes sense to come back. Shayna's not going to do anything. Raquel's is with Liv, right? Zelina's with LWO, so it makes
sense. They put Sonya in there?
No.
Sonya was
they could. I still think ultimately, with who's left, probably Natalia, left in this tournament. I think Natalia's probably the one who's got the most. Oh, wait, did he win? No, wait. I think I'm looking at the wrong bracket. But it makes sense for Natalia to me. But I could see Charlotte doing it because of the fact that they're eventually going to. She's going to win another women's champion. She's going to eclipse or equal Rick on the women's side. So just as a way of kind of keeping her afloat for a little bit and giving some prestige to it, I could see her maybe taking, because whoever has the first belt, they already did with Chelsea, where she was a kind of a career-long mid-carder, as what you would see, right? At least on the WWE level. So I could see them saying, all right, we've rewarded someone who's a hard worker, who's deserved it with the mid-card title. Now someone more established will get the prestige. Because let's be honest, what is the more prestigious belt when you look at it? It's the Intercontinental title, no matter what. no one that it has the history and the lore, even though it's the first time they're doing it. So I wouldn't be shocked if they say like either of those two, like, right, you put it on a Hart or you put it on Charlotte, you have that instant credibility to it, and it could be the second person. Oh god, she's already.
In fairness, I don't disagree because I think Charlotte would be a really good fit as someone to face Nia Jax right now, because Nia needs someone. She needs someone for two reasons. One, she needs a foil of some kind. But two, Nia Jax is clearly getting better in her work, but I think she still needs a ring general to get her into those good those really, really good matches. So having Charlotte do that, I think, is the smart move.
But Charlotte,
coming from a wrestling perspective,
I hate Charlotte as a face. I don't want to cheer for her at all.
But
I don't
in
like
a return, I think you keep her as a face momentarily, have her feud with Nia Jax, then turn her heel.
Okay. I mean, I think the other reason is Tiffany is going to need a friend, because I don't believe this trio of Nia, Candice, and Tiffany are going to last much longer. I do believe that Candice is going to be the one to stick with Nia, and somehow Tiffany gets kicked out. Mm-hmm. I did pose the question on my last episode of Grun's Room. Is Nia really turning heel on Tiffany, or is she just or is she unawarely being manipulated by Candice LeRae, who absolutely would be like, I don't freaking care that you're the champion. I'm going to manipulate my way into getting the title match with you and beat you. And I'm going to make you believe the entire time that I'm going to help you defend it, help you win it.
Now that is an interesting take. Before we get into it, though, we got Ken chiming in. Oh, yeah. Our lifelong friend, Ken. You know, obviously the reason why Kevin's here. He's saying hello, watching from Florida. Thank you, Ken, as always. And then we got the tag team partner for Nick chiming in. She's saying Charlotte is going to SD SmackDown. You know it. That is Nikki, the co-host of the Nick's podcast. That's Nick's Wrestling Club's Happy Hour, right?
She's already going full Big E on me. Or no, Xavier Woods on me. 5 minutes being on this show. I can't even.
You got Lou chiming in saying, happy holiday, boys. Hey, Lou, it's Merry Christmas here, you filthy animal. So that's what you say here. And then we also got Nikki, also Charlotte versus Tiffy. It is Tiffy time. So over there, they're high on Tiffy. And whoa, what is going on, Kevin? Did we
forgot about someone? I'm looking at the roster right now, and someone who could return, because we haven't seen her in a long time, and it's Alexa Bliss.
Interesting name throw, because I've been seeing quite a bit of her being talked about and her comeback and where she is going to fit into this lineup.
I would I think it's more likely that we see her return at Rumble. I know that she has spent the last year maybe not possibly recovering from being a mother, but also just taking that time to enjoy being a mother and spending time with her husband.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a good possibility she's ready to get the fuck out of the house and become a superstar again. Motherhood can only get you so far, but
I've been hearing the same thing that she might be ready to finally make a comeback, and she's gonna be coming in at an interesting time because Roxanne Perez is very likely to make her debut soon.
See, and that's exactly where I'm going with that one. I honestly, I'm going to put all my chips behind the Roxanne Perez idea because I think it's a good way to go. And I'm going to say this, for them to take Zoe and have her win that match, I like it. I like what they're going to do with Zoe. If you're going to make her look dominant and things like that, and give her that, I guess, the character that they're trying to give her, actually give her reasoning behind that. Winning matches like that is a good way to do that and make her relevant. in today's eyes. Because, I mean, let's be honest, after her debut, after 3 months, it was kind of like, Zoe who? Like, what? Why are we still seeing her on screen? And then she was gone, and then she's back now. So hopefully they figured out whatever they needed to with her.
She was with Trish Stratus.
Trish, yeah. I thought that was gonna catapult her.
But exactly what they did with her with Trish should have been more. It should have been more fruitful. There should have been more out of it, especially when you're aligning yourself with somebody with Trish Stratus levels. Now, the fact that it kind of like it was literally 2 weeks after the whole Trish thing, and Zoe kind of died off.
Well, it's also you put someone in that scenario, like, to be honest, she's not even now, like, definitely not now either. She's not a very good talker. So, like, when you break up from the person, their mentor, they have to be able to talk. So, very like, true. For her, even like, you did it now, like, she's better in the group because I'm just going out on a whim saying she's probably the youngest in that group. Sonya's at the point where, maybe she may get elevated to a main event level because she's in that group. Shayna's already been a world champion. She's the one who can benefit the most from it. So at that time, it's a good rub to be next to Trish Stratus, no doubt. But like, if you still can't talk, it's like anything else. Like, how many times Paul Heyman is arguably the greatest manager of all time. How many people? Curtis Axel didn't get over. Claudio Castagnoli, whatever he was called, Cesaro, he didn't really get over with Heyman that much. So like, just because you're with someone doesn't mean you get the rub. Ric Flair's been with a million people too. It feels like he comes out to help people along the way, like that mentorship.
I feel Rick though, he probably steals some of that rub when he's done with you too. He's just like,
that's always one of the things that you got to be careful for when you bring in people, is that yes, it's a nice rub to have them next to them, but they have to be a featured part of it, because otherwise the rub it's not really a rub. It ends up just overshadowing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is that where I'm going at with the Zoe? Is that what you've seen what happened with Zoe?
I think so. Is that Trish's return and her good heel turn and all of that stuff, it ended up overshadowing Zoe's kind of everything. Yeah. Zoe's a really good worker. She can talk to an extent, but I don't think it's carrying a promo extent. Not yet, at least. But she's still got a lot of time in her, too. So you never know how someone's going to develop. But as far as that position that they put her in, it was a nice position of prominence. But I think it ended up backfiring because it took too long. I think there was a couple injuries during that feud, too, where like Trish couldn't go for a little bit and it like ended up elongated. It was just wonky.
Could you imagine if they put Trish with Tiffy? The street money that would make.
Let me say this, Nick. We would already be in Tiffy time if that happened. We would have been at least a couple months deep into Tiffy time.
Honestly, I think it could, like, it's still a match that's probably going to happen. I think if once Tiffy wins the belt, it's probably like a couple matches. You know who could also return? This would be really Becky Lynch.
Oh yeah,
that's true. I mean,
she'll be back. I think she's back. I legit feel like she's back, and I forget who said it earlier, but like I legit feel like she's back either at Rumble to be some sort of, not necessarily a foil, but either a next challenger or someone in that Liv Rhea Ripley storyline to just enhance it and give it just enough, because now Raquel served her purpose, and just throwing Becky in there, who also lost to Liv, have them come full circle.
That's a good point. Grun, you had something you wanted to say? I heard you. I seen you over there biting your tongue.
Yeah, it's like I'm hearing, and like I'm realizing, like, I don't like if they have the plan, and I don't know. I'm not even gonna put money down that they have this in plan, but they want this Rhea Liv rivalry to go to Mania. So like that's maybe longer than the lifespan they can maintain for this rivalry. So, I mean, Nick brings up a good point. Like, Becky does have unfinished business with Liv. So, do you have Liv retain and Rhea loses the rivalry?
I think yes at this point. Liv needs the title more than Rhea does.
Yeah,
I think
very true there.
If I'm a fantasy book this, and I've actually talked with my lovely girlfriend Annie about it, and I agree with her take on it. I think Liv should win it, but Rhea is still entangled with Dom.
Yeah.
Why not at WrestleMania have the first intergender match we've had in a very long time and have Rhea face Dom? That's who she's really mad at.
There's so much money. There's so much money in that.
Dude,
So
I am so glad you brought this up, Kevin. Go ahead, Nick. Let's hear what you have to say about this.
I love this so much, but because I know she's watching, she's going to write it in somewhere point in time that they tried pitching this and WWE won't let them do it. They want to do it desperately because they know it's straight money, but they're not going to let them do it. But 100% feel like it's just going to continue. Like you need something. They want to get it to Mania. And actually, to your point, I always view things like this, like even Intercontinental, whatever match it is, right? Anytime we predict the PLEs or whatever, who needs it more? More importantly, who can benefit the most from it? Rhea, who has also basically won a handicap match, won War Games, has been a world champion multiple times, has victories over like Charlotte, right? Becky, doesn't need it. Liv can go to a whole other level of stardom with just keeping the belt that much longer and having like that next storyline, that next feud for her. So I think, and she's done a phenomenal. She's carried especially the Raw women's division for sure, and like even the storylines next to the bloodline, right? Like whatever Cody's been doing to extent, but I would argue that the Judgment Day stuff's probably more interesting than any of the Cody stuff. So probably the second most interesting storyline in WWE next to the bloodline is the Judgment Day, and probably Liv Morgan's the Liv Dom Rhea storyline more than the Finn Balor Priest stuff. So right there, the number 2 money storyline in WWE.
And I think I'm going to say current story, because if I had to put money in the last year, I think I would have put CM Punk and Drew in between that.
That did have a big draw this year.
That being said, I agree with you. If we're looking at the draws of storylines, Bloodline's the top one. I think Cody's ends up taking the spot again once Rock ever comes back, because that's clearly what's going on there. However, they're in a holding pattern with Cody right now. It's getting more interesting with the Owen stuff, but it's clearly a holding pattern.
Mm-hmm.
But the Judgment Day stuff has been so intriguing, and
it has.
And I want it to continue in meaningful ways. And the best way to do that at this point is to keep Liv with that title and have Rhea away for a bit. She's a superstar who is above, like she's going to get more titles, but she doesn't need them at this point.
So the only other like layer of this, and I'll shut up after this, is because I know, and she's going to start going nuts in the chat. She hates this. So I'm just doing part of what I do is just like, show up, raise hell, leave, like just stick a dynamite.
just a little poke.
Just poke. I think she hates it because she gets so angry because I can see her. I can feel her eye rolls. But like what, like the money idea, right? Like the long-term storytelling. Like what if the next layer of this? Because I'll give her credit. She predicted that the idea of like Finn Balor was the one who got the key card, right? There's still that in the background, and everyone's like, listen. Finn's like, listen to Finn, right? Listen to Finn. That whole adage. What if eventually, right, we find out that Finn was pulling the strings and Finn and Liv get together, and really Dom was just kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of a cuckold in this whole situation, right? Ultimately, right, but his whole gimmick, right, the whole way he's been presented the last year and a half, even beyond that with Ray, has been, I'm a child and I want to be like a man, but he's really a child, and we all realize it from the outside. So what if this is just another in the series of his dumb decisions that he finally, in his comeuppance, he gets cheated on by Liv, and then ultimately in his mind, oh shit, this is a really terrible thing to do. Like I feel horrible, and bringing it back over a period of time to him and Rhea reuniting. As the original group. Like I could totally see that being some sort of a money draw. Like,
I could see that.
Nick's out there writing Days of Our Lives storylines going on here, but
I don't hate it. I think that
you're
would
not
work.
that far. Yeah, it could work. It really could because, well, we got Grun's face going on, but
Yeah.
I like what you're saying though, because it would bring it back full circle, and that's how you make the Dom Rhea fans healed. When you bring that all back, everything is squashed. They start afresh.
I will throw out one thing, not to cut you off. Miss Elizabeth, Randy Savage, was it WrestleMania, the Ultimate Warrior career match when he had, was it Medusa? What was she called in WWE? Not Medusa though.
Alundra Blaze.
Alundra Blaze, yeah.
Yeah, but she was called something else though when she put the makeup on, and eventually.
Luna Vachon?
No, not Luna. Oh man, this is gonna kill me.
Luna was an angel.
Nikki's gonna put it in the chat in like 30 seconds, and it's gonna get me really angry because I'm not gonna get it. Oh my god,
Well,
it's not Marlena. No, Marlena. Damn it. But anyway, it's the career. It's basically WrestleMania's career versus title match. Ultimate Warrior defends against Randy Savage, and eventually beats Savage, and then she screwed at me. I forget who it was, but ends up turning on Macho Man at the end, and Miss Elizabeth comes back. She's screaming at me. Who was it? Sherry Martel. Okay.
That's it.
Oh, Sherry.
Sensational Sherry.
Yeah, sensational Sherry. Scary Sherry. Yeah.
Screaming.
Yeah, you're
She
right.
had a conference call just now and just turned off the conference call to yell at me about Sherry Martel.
Well, that's a true tag team partner, my
That's
friend.
love right there.
Yeah, that's love. You cannot beat that. But yeah, I absolutely like what you're saying there, and the way you brought it back, especially with a character that everybody sitting here loves, Macho Man, and the ultimate love story with him and Miss Elizabeth, her coming back, throwing away all the anger that was built up through that storyline when Macho Man took Sherry with him, and it was ugly, but it was all made whole because of that one moment. And I could see where you're going with co-host number 2, Kevin. I know you have had
I'm gonna
so
speak a
much time
little
to
bit.
think.
I'm gonna pivot from the Judgment Day. I'm gonna keep the canonical of it, but I'm gonna talk about the people who just dropped those tag titles. We're talking tag.
Here we go.
I love tag teams. So I think what we're seeing now, we're seeing a lot of shift in the tag division.
Yeah.
It's in a bit of a turmoil because we don't have any strong established teams, and we really haven't had the tag team stuff locked down for a little bit. It's been one of those like almost thrown to the wayside for a little bit. And I'm not saying that they've booked it hyper poorly. It's just that they don't seem to want to stick with a team, that they just stick as a tag team. But now we have Viking Raiders.
Yeah.
Or War Raiders, I think they're back to being called.
I like Viking Raiders.
War Raiders, yeah.
I think it's War Raiders now again.
You're allowed to say war now on TV, even though they're not changing the rating.
They can say war again.
Well, they got to make money.
Yeah. So the War Raiders are now the tag team champions. My assumption is that we, in fact, get a heel New Day run as well.
Okay.
But I guess my real posing question is, who can we push into prominent positions in this tag division? What can we do to bolster its ranks so that we can help out some of these teams go up? Because we have a War Raiders team that have gotten a nice push since coming back, but they're not really like super established yet. And then we got a new budding heel New Day that's clearly in the wings. We have other random tag teams that could work as well.
Very true.
Who can we make these contenders for War Raiders and really go forward by helping this tag division? Booking ideas, just kind of a general discussion. I don't have a pointed question, but just a general discussion.
NXT's got a lot of tag teams.
I mean, like what they could do is they could bring up Gallus. I mean, because they're veterans in the industry and have performed very well And I if you're not going to have them win the NXT Tag Team Championships, I don't know what you do with them. So bring them up to the main roster. They should be able to get you a good couple matches with War Raiders as big, meaty men doing big, meaty things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like that idea.
I like that.
Nick?
That's a quick solve.
So I could give you 2 or 3 right off the gate. One's already on Raw. If you're looking for faces, or you just say any tag team?
Just in general.
All right, so big, meaty men. AOP is already on. So once they get out of this Wyatt feud, you have that already. The tag team division on NXT, I haven't watched too much of them, but I've seen a lot of highlights. That Axiom and Nathan Frazier are really, really well regarded. Mm-hmm. So they can call them up to the main roster. There's still, obviously, the New Day is definitely going heel. I'm trying to think offhand. Yeah, you have not Alpha Cat. Alpha Academy is technically a face if you want to throw them as a tag team together just to try and keep it moving. In terms of momentum, nobody has momentum at all to challenge. But like heel wise, you have AOP. You have more heels, I think, than New Days is rising as a heel. They'll probably challenge for the belts within 2 months, either Rumble or Mania, unless they do the Big E triple threat match or some derivative of that, like Big E and like Obafemi against them or something like that.
That would be crazy.
That would be wild.
I think that's how he gets up to the main roster. But he's competing right now for the NXT world title. So like I could see it either way if them putting the belt on him and say like, all right, let's give him a run as champ, because I don't love, like, I get he's a big dude and he's like jacked as hell and looks great, but I don't know how they're going to present him on the main roster, like, and how they're going to book him moving forward. Like everything I've seen with him, and I haven't seen much, like too much, admittedly. And I see he's like, I don't know how well he can cut a great promo, and you can put him with a man.
Surprisingly well spoken. If he's not trying to carry a 15-minute promo by himself, he's well spoken enough to be able to do a tit for tat with someone for about 10 minutes. I'd say right now.
Yeah, so then
that's the limit.
Then that's the perfect scenario. Then the New Day is just like keep him with Big E, who can just protect him for a while.
Yep.
And work that in. I would have loved him though. Like I really would have loved him with like Woods as like a heel monster with Woods, and let Woods just get his singles belt with this new heavy.
I'm there with you on that one. I think Woods as a single heel would have been fantastic, and then you put like you're saying, put him with a monster like Obo Femi, and you have a fantastic force right there. And honestly, on a side note, my regular window liquor host, we're going to put a pin in the Obo. How do we get Obo Femi into the main roster? So we can thank Nick for that one. We'll put a pin in that part of it. But yeah, continue, Nick, with what you were saying.
One more tag team that I could just think of. They've been on NXT or something. You have the Good Brothers, however you want to book them. That's another veteran tag team.
They're an easy team to bring around.
Yeah, like they get that cred, whatever you want to call it. So there is. I just think there's a lot of just like tag teams are thrown together, and that's a problem with whether it's like Triple H booking. They've done a better job with now putting like DIY back together and having the Guns come in as a unit. So there's going to be more. That my problem was the 2 tag team belts. Like you don't need 2 tag team titles. Same thing with the mid card belt. Like it could have just been the Intercontinental Women's title. You didn't need the Women's US title. Same thing goes for just like the women's tag titles. Just let that be universal across the brands. And if you're the women's Intercontinental title, Intercontinental champion, you can go across brands and get a challenger. Same thing with the tag division. It doesn't dilute it. Then you can have all these people that get built up.
Especially with thinner ranks for the tag teams. I think especially tag teams.
Yeah.
I think the other ones I could make arguments for because they have a thicker roster when it comes to single superstars, but tag especially should be going between brands.
Well, that's what WWE is. It's a single star company. It's never been a fact. They've been more lately the last year and change since Triple H has taken over with the creative, because that was what the Attitude Era was like when you had like Los Barriquas, DOA, the Nation of Domination, the Hart Foundation, like all those groups that had led by those stars that built up. But Yeah, now it's a little bit more, but it's always still going to be, hey, what can you sell? What kind of T-shirts can you sell me? You know, and at the end of the day, whether it's a Shield with Rollins, Mox, and Reigns, or Evolution, you name the group, it's always built up 3 stars versus the collective unit.
No, you're right on that. And honestly, if it was for me and Kevin, I'm going to just say what I need out of the tag team division, especially if you're making the War Raiders your champs on Raw, you got to give me a reason why I'm tuning in for them to be the champion. So I need matches where they are just going out there and crushing dudes like they do. Keep that momentum going with them. This match in particular, with them going up against the Judgment Day, I know that I've been pretty critical of the whole Viking persona that WWE has tried so many times before. But these guys really make me believe it. And I think I really think that it has to do with the fact that the Viking name is not in the title. You know what I mean? It's not directly in your face. The character presentation's there. We all know what they're doing with that.
Overall, they've turned it down a little bit.
Exactly. So you've
it's
turned
a more
it
subtle
down.
Version of it.
Exactly. So I think they've hit it on that mark. And the fact that these two guys can move like cruiserweights really amps up to what they bring to the tag team division. Now, going past that, once you get them established as a dominant force, I think that's where I can go with Nick and the whole AOP thing. Even though I'm not big on them, I think AOP has not taken their 5 minutes anytime they've gotten it. I think there's something left desired with them, and not in like a way where I want to see the next thing, but it's like after watching them in a ring, after watching them do storylines, even what they're doing now with the Wyatts, they're lost. They're wallflowers in that picture because I mean, Karrion Kross he's stepping up. He's doing what we talked about months ago, where we were all saying we need more out of Karrion Kross, and that's exactly what we've gotten. But in Karrion Kross's eyes, AOP for me has just gotten even further and further in the distance, and almost in that whole scenario with them, AOP to me is an afterthought when it comes to that group. And I could see the War Raiders being in that position with Karrion Kross leading something of that group. That makes me buy into them even more also. But these are my thoughts, so that's where I'm at with the tag team division. Give me more guys like that. I like the whole bigger guy, smaller guy tag team, team up. I like that because you got the bigger guy. He usually throws the smaller guy, and I've always been the smaller guy. I like when my friends use me as weapons. It makes me feel like I've done something in the group.
I think it's a good idea to have the War Raiders having those titles right now because they're a team that's been a team for so long. Remember when the Machine Guns were signed, and I was putting that over as a really good acquisition. Because they're going to be able to increase the work rate of everyone else as a tag team on that roster. SmackDown's tag division is going, and this was me saying this a month ago, and I think it's actually been better since with the DIY turn and how they've been booking it and doing everything. The tag division feels better since the Machine Guns got there, and that is no coincidence. I can't put those two over enough. I've known them. I've seen them. I've talked with them. I've picked their brains, especially Shelly. And they are so psychologically smart. And I've talked to the War Raiders too. I've met them at shows and picked their brains.
Okay.
They are also very psychologically smart. So being in this position, I think is going to end up elevating both divisions. And I think this is a really savvy move to have those two teams be established on separate brands, because now you can have them hold up a tag division and almost teach them more and more. on how tag psychology works so that we can get better matches out of everything. Because while we do have some of these thrown together teams, they can work if they know what the psychology is they're working for.
Let me ask you two questions, Kevin, before we get into, sending everybody off, because we are 9 minutes away before Raw kicks off, and you get to see if any of our predictions or any of our thoughts are accurate. That's the secret in the sauce. First, Kevin,
yes.
Do you see that let's say that Machine Guns and the War Raiders, they go on this next year and they just do fantastic things on their own, on their separate channels that they're on, the brands. Do you see something coming around towards like Survivor Series where we could get a legit like brand versus brand tag team, like big matchup between these two?
Yeah, I don't see an issue with that. It just depends on what they want to do with Survivor Series, because realistically, they've branded it so many different ways in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Because they've
and that's
done
why
Survivor
I said
Series
that.
where it's the traditional tag Survivor Series, and then there was the era of the brand versus brand Survivor Series, but now it's War Games. So I don't think they'll go that route. I think it's more likely that one of the teams, after staying there and really getting the tag division up and making sure that the psychology sound for both, that they just end up on the same show.
Gotcha.
And they'll just end up in those matches when it happens.
No, that makes sense. I was just kind of thinking because both of those teams are teams that can bring that brand love and energy and get the fans behind them. Okay, follow-up question to that real quick. What was your favorite piece of advice you got from Alex Shelley?
My favorite piece of advice from Alex Shelley that I'd ever gotten is to make every movement count and make sense in a ring. And if it doesn't, then you shouldn't do it. If you ever have a movement that you feel like you're wasting energy, like it can be high octane movement, it can be a lot of stuff, but it has to have a meaning behind it, a reason you're doing it. Otherwise, it's meaningless. And that really stuck with me. And honestly, he wasn't even talking to me, because I'm a guy who likes to listen to conversations. So this was advice he was giving to someone else. And I happen to just be an earshot, because that's how I like to collect a lot of my psychology. I'm not a question asker, because I never know what to ask specifically. And I don't like bothering people. But when other people are getting those critiques, I am the first person to be like, ooh, they're talking. And then I want to hear those thoughts. But I think I really, truly believe that Shelley, Sabin, Eric, and Ivar will end up in coach roles in the WWE after their career ends and winds down. They're going to end up as NXT coaches. And I think that's going to be amazing. We're going to see a renaissance.
Well, I think a story came out actually today.
Eric, Ivar. Sorry, Ivar specifically said it.
Yeah, that he wants to. Yeah, he wants to be a coach, like moving, which is good. Like again, you need look at Matt Bloom. Who would have thought Albert is leading
an absolute renaissance?
Yeah, that's crazy. It's really crazy to think of. Okay, so speaking of thoughts and people getting their shows out there, Nick, this is the point where we give our guest or co-host your platform. Let them know where they can get you. I know you have a big show coming up, so make sure to hit those points. And the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, well, again, pleasure chatting with you all. Thanks for having me. I'd love to do it again soon. So, it's Fridays at 6 Eastern time. Man. The channel's under my name, so Nick TEODORO. But it's the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour, again, Fridays at 6 Eastern time. We're covering usually our big 3 topics of the week, but basically Raw, Dynamite, and previewing SmackDown as our big 3. This Friday, we're going to preview at World's End and do our predictions. So I am the reigning AEW predictions champion, not WWE, because Nikki got away with a couple of damn Chelsea Green is really what screwed me, and I somehow thought that KO would get some DQ win, not win the belt, but get a DQ win. So she's got the WWE belt, but I am the reigning AEW champion, because for some reason it's really easy to predict AEW, because I'm just like, well, who would Tony Khan like better? Who's boy do you want to play with this week? And I'm really good at this is shiny this week. This is shiny. This is shiny. So we're doing that this week, and then And then again, we're back for the 31st. We're doing a special 6 p.m. Eastern happy hour for New Year's Eve. So you're all obviously welcome. Come on, chat in, just, who your best wrestlers are, biggest storylines of the year. And we're going to try and cover everything we can in a hopefully timely fashion.
See, Grun, now you got a new spot to go and rant and rave.
Yay.
Yeah, you got to love that, Grun.
Oh, yes, because I just love having reasons to complain about AEW.
Oh, I mean, they don't have any shortage. They have one of the most talented rosters I've seen in wrestling history. And yet, it is the most chaotic, disorganized freaking play. Well, I was going to do a run-in on your show like Bandito.
More organized than AEW.
I was going to do a Bandito run-in and just come in really, really hot out the gates for 30 seconds and then get an injury, and then I can't do anything else.
Oh, I saw a comment on a YouTube video. I'll share with the class. Hold on. It was gold. And the Bandito injury was it's so sad when someone comes back and then they're immediately injured. So I do want to say that sucks before I say this comment, because this comment is gold.
I know, but I mean, I know, and all kidding, partially kidding. Again, speedy recovery.
Absolutely,
hope he's well. But do you feel a little robbed of his return?
Yeah,
like a Bandito
robbed. It happened. Yeah, like a heist. And then the comment I saw in the YouTube video, I have it pulled up now. Tony Khan has the safety record of a 19th century garment factory.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
He does need a sign.
Kevin, with that, why don't you let them know where they can find you and all that chaos you create?
Hey, welcome to that chaos. Mike, hey, I get to announce my comeback show because I tested my leg today in the gym and it worked out fine. So in 2 weeks, I come back. My return is at Sanctuary Fight Club out in Detroit, or not Detroit, but Hamtramck. So I'll have my first match back there, and then I am booked on Frontline Pro out in Wisconsin going forward too. So I will be there.
Awesome.
And otherwise, you can find me on Facebook, Kevin Calloway. Find me on Instagram, Calloway Kevin. And I also host or co-host the Dear Pro Wrestling podcast with my good pal Paragon and Ray Larson now, who we just welcomed as another co-host to give more perspective.
Congratulations.
And we talk pro wrestling, we talk ins and outs, we give a lot of happiness to the people and a lot of lessons. But yeah, Sanctuary January 5th. I'm very excited for that one.
Awesome. It's great to see that you are healed up and ready to go. Grun, try not to throw anything. Get it in Kevin's way. Coming out of your room. He's getting back in the ring, you jerk.
You can find me on Friday nights on Twitch at twitch.tv/Grunmeister for the Grun's Room SmackDown review show at 7 p.m. Eastern every Friday night, where sometimes I also talk about breaking news like this. This is WWE related. Dustin Rhodes has signed a new contract with AEW. So that old fucker is going to stay in AEW.
So are you surprised that his profile was left up on AEW.com? That's why I'm like,
I wanted him to go to WWE because he's just being used for the nostalgia. That's it. He's not that's it.
We're all going to apply. We're going to get contracts next month to AEW, and we're going to do a free bird rule for the trios title. And that's exactly listen. That's like a signing bonus. You get a belt. It's the Oprah free belt giveaway in AEW.
Don't get me signed. I'm going to piss everybody off in that company. Ain't going to get fired in less than a week.
He's allergic to money.
All right, Nick, you got to quit talking to AEW with Grun, or the show will never end. Trust me, I'm in chats with him. So here we go. Fans, anytime you want to, you can come here at Monday at 7 p.m. and you can catch all the chaos, all the Grun Room antics, and all the voice can bring to you. So come join us. You can join the fun. Nick, we appreciate and love the fact, A, what you're doing, and B, that you took the time out of your day to join us here at the Window Lickers Factory. part of In Your House, and you had some fun. Did you enjoy your time here?
Hey, I had a blast. I am truly grateful that you guys had me on, and this has been absolute pleasure. So thanks again. Look forward to next time.
That's awesome to hear.
Hell yeah.
Hey, go check Nick out. Go check what him and Nikki are doing. They're doing fantastic things. And then on that Friday, you can also come before you go and check everybody out over there. Come check me out and Howse. When we do ECW watch alongs, we have greats on like Sabu. Had him on about a month ago. He was amazing. And I'm on his like show all the time in his chat in there. I make Sabu laugh. So that's like a notch in my world. That's almost like an Oscar, if you ask me. But no one's asking me. So on top of that, you can catch me on a Sunday where we go in your house and we have a house party. That's where we bring anybody who's available in the household and we talk everything that's happened through the week. We know that it's been kind of lull on the in your house side, but it's because it's the holidays and it's because the boss has got a job that the holidays are affected by. But I swear to you, in the next week, we are going to get back into the swing of things, and it's going to be fantastic. And before we head out, Ken, we see you. Thank you so much for being one of our most loyal fans. And Merry Christmas to you, man. I hope all of your holidays are fantastic. And just thank you for always taking your time out and checking us out. We know we got like the golden goose for that to happen. But you still take that time and you click that button and you come and hang out with us. So we appreciate it. Again, from everybody here at In Your House, have a great holiday. Have a great Christmas. Happy New Year. Nick, we're glad we are friends now with you. We have linked up.
We do, right? Wrestling brings everyone together. So that's what it's all about.
Exactly. That's what this world does. Yeah. So keep up the relationship we got going, Nick. And we will see you on the next one. Peace.
Cheers.